Podcast.
Welcome to what is it? Sweet Streams.
The Sweet Streams podcast.
The Sweet Streams podcast.
What is a Streams podcast?
You know, I guess we'll figure that out as we go. But as of right now, as simply stated as it can be, is movie review. Ideally, movies that you can get on basic streaming services. I'm talking Netflix, HBO, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Anything else?
Shudder, maybe.
YouTube, like if it's free.
Well, what did we watch this week?
This week we watched that Denzel movie, The Little Things, 2021.
This is available on HBO Max.
HBO Max, yeah.
One of the reasons I wanted to watch this one, well, I love Denzel, but also this is the first of the. Are you aware of everything happening with Warner Brothers and HBO Max?
What's going on with Warner Brothers and HBO Max?
So, in case anyone's listening to this after at a later date, we're doing this at the height of the coronavirus pandemic.
Is it the height?
I think number wise, I mean we have the vaccine, so it's the end is in sight, but more people are sick now than ever.
Yeah.
And movie theaters are closed, and so really no movies came out last year. Like some in the beginning of the year, maybe. Like I remember Invisible Man, very fun.
Invisible Man. Onward was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Yeah, but then once everything shut down, a lot of studios started releasing content online, starting with like Trolls World Tour. That was the first big one. That was
groundbreaking.
I think Universal made like 50 million or something off that, and that proved that this might actually work. People will pay to watch movies at home.
Right.
But then Wonder Woman 1984 kept getting pushed back. It was supposed to come out around Christmas, and then they make the announcement we're gonna release it on Christmas Day in theaters where it's allowed, but also you can stream it on HBO Max.
Did you see that?
I did. It sucked.
It sucked. I did not see it.
However, after a couple of weeks later, they say, you know what? All of 2021, every Warner Brothers movie is gonna go straight to HBO Max, which really sent shockwaves through the industry. What do you think about that? Did you wish that you were in a theater watching this movie?
This did feel like I was thinking that. When this movie first started, I was like, oh, this is a theater movie. This is a movie you're supposed to watch in a theater.
There's one scene in particular, Rami is like going to a crime scene. He has but the power is out in this building. So he has like a flashlight and he's going looking at the dead body and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like a little bit creepy, I guess. But then all of a sudden the lights come back on and the music starts playing really loud.
Yes.
And that was when I was like, okay, that would have been
better in a theater.
Better in a theater surrounded by people.
I did feel like that because I was like, oh, was that supposed to be a jump scare? Because I didn't jump at that scare. I was almost anticipating it.
But honestly, I think for this movie in particular, I would have liked it even less in the theater because it's just so slow.
But that's also a reason why I feel like it's a theater movie is because honestly, if I didn't have to watch it for this podcast, I wouldn't have went back after I fell asleep for that first, half hour. I probably would have stopped after the first 20 minutes, honestly. Just been like, this is too much or whatever. I don't know. It's just hard to watch a movie like that. But having it be in a theater, you're forced to like sit there the whole time, and so
I think I would have resented it more if I had to sit through it in the theater.
Yes, but that's why it's a theater movie. Kind of, it forces you to watch the whole thing. Also, just like the way it was shot felt like very much like it was supposed to be cinematic in a theater, low light kind of thing.
Yeah, it's weird looking movie. Like there's like I didn't like it had like a glossiness to it that felt like not real. I don't know. I didn't.
It felt a little bit like there wasn't any character in the filmmaking of it. There wasn't anything.
The guy
unique.
who directed this, John Lee Hancock, his other famous films are The Blind Side.
Blind Side was good.
Yeah, but like this, maybe you should stick to stuff like that. I don't know if he pulled this off completely. The tone of this.
No, I think. Wouldn't it be great if Sandra Bullock played Rami Malek's character?
Maybe a female.
Yeah,
that would have been good.
Would have worked.
Or you know who else? Denzel Washington and John David Washington. That would have been sick. Their actual father-son. I'm sure that's going to come at some point. They'll be in a movie together.
That'd be cool.
Do you know who
was he? Was he in anything?
Who?
His son?
Yeah, he was in Black Klansman. He was in Tenet this summer.
Okay, I missed all those movies.
He's actually really talented. He's great.
That would have been great in this movie.
He's like another Denzel. We got like another Denzel coming.
Wow. Just in time.
Yeah. But okay, so
So HBO is planning on releasing more movies like this?
like
I guess like
crazy
indefinitely for the future.
at least through 2021.
What's supposed to? Do you know?
They're gonna be
titles?
on. So this movie is like on HBO Max. They're taking it off the 28th. It's like a limited window. But other titles include like Dune,
Oh, that's gonna be on HBO.
which is kind of a bummer. I would like.
That seems like something I really would like to see in a theater.
There are other big ones. Should I pull it up?
I gotta finish reading that book. I have like another 100 pages.
Yeah, I gotta finish reading that as well. But Dune is something I would love to see in the theater.
Yeah, same.
The Matrix 4,
Whoa, new Matrix.
Godzilla vs Kong.
Oh, I saw the
Did you
trailer
see the
for
trailer?
that. I did.
Sick trailer. One of the best trailers of all time.
It felt like it was like what could the plot possibly be in this movie?
There's you know Kyle Chandler, the actor?
Kyle Chandler?
Yeah. There's a scene where Kyle Chandler, a moment in the trailer where Kyle Chandler's just like, he's like talking to like a lab full of people or something. He's like, Godzilla's out there hurting people and we don't know why.
We don't know why.
And then it just shows Godzilla like laser a skyscraper.
I'm excited to see that
And
movie.
then there's Rebecca Hall, another great actress. There's a moment in the trailer where she's like, they're like, who's gonna bow to who? And they're like, the two are fighting. She's like, Khan bows to no one. Then it shows Khan jump. I'm so pumped for that movie, but also a movie I'd like to see in the theater.
Yeah. Oh my God, you gotta watch that in a theater.
Mortal Kombat.
Would it be great to go get drunk and go watch that movie with like a group of people?
Yeah, I mean, some of these movies we will be able to see in theater. Hopefully, it's just that they will also like. This movie is released in some theaters. The Little Things.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Don't know much about that.
There's no theaters open in New York, right?
No. The Tom and Jerry movie. Another one.
What is that? That's an animated thing.
The new LeBron James Space Jam. Never seen the original Space Jam, but I'll check it out. Love LeBron. The Little Things, and then Dune is the biggest one. Also, Zack Snyder's director's cut, which can be horrible. The Snyder cut.
When is Dune supposed to come out?
October, I believe.
Oh, I bet theaters will be open by then.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're still gonna do it.
They're still gonna do it on HBO.
And people are pissed.
I'm watching it in the theater.
Actors and shit are pissed because actors and the people who had like deals based on like back end points are losing so much money because of this. They really fucked a lot of people.
It sucks.
So this movie, The Little Things, was released on HBO Max. It will be on HBO Max until February 28th, and then it will be taken off HBO Max.
Oh, is it a Warner Brothers movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
Warner Brothers, AT&T owned all same parent company as HBO Max. So, because HBO Max as a streaming service has really underperformed like the Disney Pluses and certainly Netflixes in terms of subscriber numbers, but as a user, I think it might be my favorite. I think we'll get into that as we discuss.
As a streaming service,
it might be the best content library.
I think that's true. Yeah, especially for people our age. I think
their movies are great. They have a bunch of better movies than Netflix.
Better movies. Just their quality is more important.
And then for TV and stuff, it's like you have all the HBO stuff. That's huge.
Right.
Big fan of HBO.
I'm a huge HBO guy.
This movie wasn't as big of a fan of.
This movie.
What is this movie even about?
The Little Things. Oh, because now we're gonna summarize it. Summarizing it for this. So at this point, it's spoiler alert, right?
Should we do spoilers?
I think there should be a point where we're like, all right, now spoilers start. We can't never talk about. We can't never spoil.
Okay, for this section, let's do like a back and forth. Oh no, maybe this might need spoilers.
We can try. Okay, so here's my experience of this movie. By the way, I started watching it. Got about an hour in. Got to a point. Like, I don't even think Jared Leto was in the movie yet. I fell asleep.
Was it nighttime?
It was around 7 p.m. I fell asleep from about 8 p.m. until 1 in the morning. And then...
Did the movie continue playing as like the movie had completed on your laptop, or you turn it off?
No, I was listening to it. It continued playing, but I fell asleep and I woke up. I did look. I was like, I'm feel myself falling asleep. Let me look at the time code so I can come and finish this later. So then I watched that. It was like about 56 minutes, and I was like, okay. Listened to a little bit more of it before I fell asleep in about 2 minutes. Then went back to it and finished the movie.
Took you two.
Next day.
Took you 2 tries.
Took me 2 tries.
I knew I had to watch this movie because I knew we were going to do it on the podcast. So I did it when I came home yesterday. I put it on. I wish I fell asleep at certain points. What is this? So we follow Denzel. Denzel's our main man. He's sort of when we start off, we don't know much about him, but he's like a low level cop. He's like a cop who's like still in uniform. He's not like a detective.
He's some kind of cop or
but he's
deputy.
Old, but he's really old. So we're like, what's you would think Denzel wouldn't be just a run of the mill uniform on the street. So what's going on here? And then what happens?
I don't. Let me think. There's also this guy, Rami Malek, who is a suit.
He wears a suit. He's the level of cop that you can wear.
Exactly. I guess he's a detective.
Yeah.
But then also Denzel feels like a detective.
Well.
Or he helps him in like a way that's like, I'm also a detective.
Once Rami Malek sees Denzel, he says to some other guy, he's like, who's that guy? And they're like, that's Joe Deacon.
Ooh.
And it's like,
Joe Deacon. Is that the name? Yeah. That's so funny.
And it turns out that Denzel used to be in L.A. in Los Angeles homicide detective, and was fired or sent away to this like low level job somewhere else in like Northern California
for a reason that we find out later.
Yeah, but in Rami Malek, for all intents and purposes, took his position in the force.
Right.
But he's like a legendary detective, Denzel, in the community. Like
disgraced.
He's disgraced, but also is like his detective skills are unmatched. He's just like,
right.
And like right away he comes in and he's just like better at being a detective than Rami Malek is.
Where does this take place, by the way?
I think L.A.
Oh, it's in L.A.
I think
it's like rural L.A., right?
Yeah, I think Denzel has been. Well, I pulled up the actual description. So, Kern County Deputy Sheriff Joe Deacon is sent to Los Angeles for what should have been a quick evidence-gathering assignment. Instead, he becomes embroiled in the search for a serial killer who is terrorizing the city. So, we should also say a serial killer's on the loose.
That was the opening scene. It's like a girl driving a car, and she's being followed by another car.
I was into that. I was into
that too. I was like, okay, this is a full movie.
But then she survives. She doesn't even get killed, this girl.
She survives by like running in front of a truck.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay. I actually got out. But, so they're working together, and then let's try to regain our train of thought.
So, wait, so
they try to solve the murder.
So have we entered into the point of spoilers where we should just start talking about the plot nitty-gritty wise?
Listening. I think, yeah, let's just
Sure,
go
okay.
ahead.
I mean, if you haven't seen The Little Things by now...
Pause, go give it a watch, and then come back.
Yeah. I think in the future, we should try to set that back like halfway through, and then be like, all right, spoilers now.
We should have more to say in the pre-spoiler section.
I mean, we can just keep it going. I just like feel like I want to explain parts of the plot, but now I'm afraid I'm...
Let's keep going with the plot. So
okay. No spoilers yet. Okay, unless we do.
Let's just spoil it.
All right, spoilers. And honestly, this is a movie that I wish someone told me the plot before I watched it.
This movie's a swing and a miss,
yeah.
I think. I thought, so we find out the reason, and I'm still a little confused about a lot of stuff in this movie, but the reason that Denzel was fired is because he was trying to he was on the case of this exact murderer. Well, that's not even a big spoiler. So we find out that Denzel has investigated this murder before when he was a detective. We still don't know why he was fired.
Right.
So then, but he also just takes his shit way too seriously. He's like having hallucinations of...
Oh yeah, he's like, gets like that motel room.
And he just like puts a bunch of pictures of dead women on the wall and just like literally just like stares at them every night until he goes to sleep.
Just in pitch black. You know what was interesting, which I did note as like probably my favorite part or my biggest takeaway from this movie was that scene exactly. He's like sitting in this really weird dingy motel room that I don't even know why he's just needs a room.
Because he's out in Kern County now. He doesn't live in LA.
But why go to like the grossest motel you can like?
He's just a uniform, man. He doesn't have sergeant detective money.
Either way, he's sitting in that thing and it's all lit, just all green.
Yeah.
There's just like green moonlight coming in through the window, and that's the whole scene. And I was like, wow, for some reason that actually works really well. It looks like night and it's atmospheric. And he just has a flashlight and he's shining it on these pictures of the prostitutes that are hanging on the wall.
He's just really going in anywhere he wants.
And then he hallucinates that they're in the room with him.
He's a troubled guy.
Yeah.
But I watched the trailer for this and it like didn't seem great, and I wasn't that excited, but I was excited because I love Denzel, and I think he's like sometimes when he's just like electric, it's like, oh, I could watch this over and over again.
What's a good Denzel movie?
Well, when I went through his IMDb earlier, I realized there's a lot I love, but there's a lot of probably, if you took like the consensus from what like is highly regarded as like his best films, I haven't seen like probably 90% of them.
Because my impression of Denzel, I was never huge, or just I don't know Denzel very much like, in terms of his work. What I've seen recently of his was Fences.
Yeah, well, I listed all the movies of his I like.
Okay.
Glory.
Didn't see it.
Pelican Brief.
Didn't see it.
He Got Game. I just watched recently. I think that's my favorite.
Okay. Now I can think why I don't know Denzel, because I have not seen either.
Have you seen He Got Game?
He Got Game? I have not.
Remember the Titans.
Okay, I think I just missed Denzel as an actor.
You don't. Oh, so you don't know Denzel Washington?
I haven't seen any of those movies.
That's bizarre. Glad to be hosting a movie podcast with you.
He was in Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. The ones I haven't seen. But you haven't seen Remember the Titans?
I haven't seen Remember the Titans.
That's a great movie. Classic American Gangster.
Oh, I think I might have. That sounds familiar. I might have seen that. When did that come out?
Like maybe like mid-aughts. I'd say pre-2010.
Pre-2010.
Maybe 2010 exactly. But around that time.
I have no clue.
Okay.
I don't know if I never felt like I really knew
The Taking of Pelham 123.
I have not seen that.
Okay.
Are these real movies? Or are you
Unstoppable?
You're making these up? I saw Unstoppable.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Flight.
Oh, I've not seen it, but I know that movie.
You know, funny thing about Unstoppable, that's literally one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies. Is the 2011 Tony Scott film Unstoppable.
Really?
Yeah. And the last one I put was Fences, which I love Fences. Flight and Fences. Amazing performances. But on him by both of those. Flight is basically Sully. You know the movie Sully?
Yeah.
But it's like that exact thing, but he's a raging coke addict, and he was like on coke when he saved the plane. He's on coke the whole time.
I think that makes the movie worse. I don't know.
No, it's much better than Sully.
I guess you're right. Sully was awful. Maybe if Tom Hanks was just his character was just also on coke the whole time.
Because the problem with Sully is like Sully is like a national hero that we all know, and it's like they just invented like a court case. Like there was never a time when the public was doubting Sully. You can't just make a movie about that. That didn't happen.
You know what's really weird about the movie?
When did we turn on Sully?
Was the end. The end when he's like, they like have the court case, and then there's some kind of weird like, I totally forget, but they all kind of like, he makes a joke and they all laugh, and they show everybody laughing at this joke, and then it's just credits, and you're like, what?
It was really bizarre.
That movie sucked.
The movie if they just made it like about the plane crash, like saving that you couldn't have made like a 2-hour movie about what it was like to like land in the water. I would have watched that.
They should pick a character who's on the plane, show their whole life story as it parallels Sully's thing, and they're all on this plane. I
don't need to see like some fabricated post-plane crash backlash that Sully faces, which he didn't face.
Nothing but praise for the dude who landed a plane in the Hudson.
Just resounding applause for this guy.
Everyone survives.
For like the entirety of 2011, all you could hear was how great this guy was. It's just, I was gonna go through the Denzel movies I hadn't seen, because I thought that would be interesting, but I get the sense you haven't seen it.
Oh, let me talk about my experience with Fences, by the way. Okay. When I saw Fences, I don't blame this movie necessarily, though I wasn't a huge fan from what I saw of it. But I saw this movie in theaters with a group of people. This was freshman year of college for me, right?
So it was like 2017, say 2016 even.
Yeah, probably 2017, probably the latter half. So I had like a test the next day or something. I was like kind of not fully up for being at a movie, but I was like, all right, I'm going with a group. I'll go to this movie. I went to the movie. The movie was going. It felt very long. I was totally not invested in this plot or whatever was happening with this son, or I don't even remember the plot of that movie. But
I think a lot of this is on you.
Part of me was my attitude going into that movie, but I did walk out of that movie like an hour in.
Fences is a great play.
And that was before Movie Pass. I was like, I paid full price for this ticket, and I can't even finish this movie. I gotta leave.
Fences, I saw like a screening of it, some sort of screening with a couple of friends. It was like I don't know if we like filled out. No, it was out. I believe it. I don't think it was like we were filling out surveys, but it was some sort of odd screening that was like we were invited to.
Did you have to give your thoughts on it, like in terms?
I don't remember giving, maybe, but I don't remember doing that. But I thought it was great. It's a great play. August Wilson is an amazing writer, and it's just a story about a family, the dramas that we all face. There's that scene where his son asks if he likes him, or no, he's like, "Do you love me?" Or no, "Do you like me?" And he's like,
I don't gotta like you or something.
I put food. I provide for you. I put food on the table. I owe you a debt. You're my son, but I like and your black ass wasn't part of the movie. Denzel's great.
I don't think you referenced Denzel a lot. I don't think well, clearly I haven't seen a bulk of his movies.
You're aware that Denzel's like one of the most
I know he's an
actors.
I would say he's an A-list actor.
Multiple Oscar winner.
In terms of his work, I don't know. You know, I'm not well versed. Clearly I haven't seen any of this.
Some movies I haven't seen, which I want to see, like Malcolm X, Philadelphia, The Hurricane, Training Day. Training Day seems good. It's him and Ethan Hawke.
I would see Training Day.
Man on Fire, Inside Man. You know they've made 2 Equalizers.
Inside Man I saw.
Really?
That was good.
It was. Is that the one with like Russell Crowe and Al Pacino?
It's like a heist movie, I think.
I was thinking of The Insider, I think.
Mm.
They made 2 Equalizers. Who the hell knew that?
Oh, Equalizer. I didn't see any of those.
And then Roman J. I never saw Roman J, but I remember I think this was Movie Pass, but so we literally had the chance to see every movie we wanted, and we saw movies that we never would have seen, but we just still never got around to seeing Roman J.
Because it was also like, wasn't it like over 2 hours?
I think it just took itself way too seriously. You could tell.
Yeah, it was like I could tell I don't want to see this. But that's not fair. Maybe one day we'll watch it for this podcast.
There was that bit where we were it'd be like a cop yelling at teenagers in the street. It's like, you boys got to stop the shenanigans, get in there and watch Roman J.
You guys gotta watch Roman J.
I'm telling you gotta go in there and watch Roman J, man.
With the character who's like, that was my favorite movie of the year. I don't see why Roman J wasn't nominated for more. Did any of you watch Roman J. Israel Esquire?
I don't think I've ever met anyone that has seen Roman J.
It's Denzel Washington. What are you talking about?
I think part of it was that it was like they wanted it to. I think it was like positioned as like they thought it would be like Oscar-y, but I think it just everyone thought it was bad. I don't think anyone liked that.
Yeah.
So I never got into seeing it.
Me either.
But there are times, like I said, where Denzel's on fire. But the problem with him in this movie, I wanted more Denzel electricity, but his character is very like subdued. He's like a beaten up. I think he's like got severe PTSD, but not in like a cinematic. He's just like sad and quiet. In
Little Things. Yeah, his character was honestly, I guess, like my favorite character in the movie, just because he was kind of more interesting.
Sure, he's still Denzel.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a bad sign. If that's the favorite character is just like this crazy dude who you never really see who he is.
He's not even that crazy in like an exciting way. It's just like he does a good job of like conveying that he's troubled, and like he certainly is crazy. He's hallucinating and stuff, but it's not like
you could tell he's troubled.
Oh my god, what's gonna happen with this guy? It's just like, yeah, whatever. He's kind of nothing.
It's almost like a lost cause. It's like, oh, this guy's so.
I remember at one point he goes to see like his ex-wife or something, and his eyes, and she says something like, or several people comment throughout the film like, I look in your eyes and it's not good, man. It's not good. And it is true. His eye, he does look like completely dead behind the eyes.
No, but that's why you can't get behind him emotionally as a character.
This is just a really scarred guy.
It's like, yeah.
The most animated he gets.
It's like there's so much story that must have happened before I even am watching this.
It seems like the problem with this movie is it takes place after the movie.
After the movie took place, yeah.
Like after all the interesting stuff happens.
Yeah.
The most animated part, thing, like when he gets the most, I was feeling it the most was girls get murdered. He goes to the morgue to examine the body or something, and the mortician leaves, so he's alone with the corpse, and he just has like a fucking straight up like 5-minute monologue talking to this corpse.
He does. I did see, but part of me was also like, oh wait, no, that's later. The corpse like turns to him and looks at him. Yeah, that was bizarre. And the woman, the what's her job? She's the
She's a coroner.
coroner or whatever. She
I think they fucking like I don't a lot
that
of that's
that felt like that was almost implied. She was. I mean, okay, now officially more spoilers here
let me think.
if we haven't.
Okay, but don't
Done.
spoil the end. You can talk about this woman, yeah.
I was going to talk about this woman's relation to Denzel and
Yeah.
why they know each other because she helped him. Like
Let's.
I'll hold that. Okay, all right, I'll hold it.
But yeah, did that scene work for you? Because I mean, it was bizarre. And it took me out. It was like, what the hell is this kind of? But it was at least I could see. Okay, Denzel's having fun in this one. At least this is the most like exciting.
Here's
movie.
the thing, honestly, if he wasn't caught doing it by the woman that like saw him do this, I'd be like, okay, I could buy it.
He's straight up just like whispering to this corpse for like I swear it's three minutes of screen
like a
time.
long
Where he's
conversation.
like, what happened? The handsome guy knocks on the door. You say, you let him. You have a little voice in your head that says, don't do it. But you say, you only live once. And you were damn right. You only live once.
I'll be honest.
You should have listened to.
I couldn't even pay attention to what he was saying to her because I was just so caught off guard by the fact he was talking to this corpse for so long.
It's impressive that we get to see a scene where Denzel just like works himself up into shouting at a corpse.
I also just was thinking about the actress who plays this corpse. Just has to stand there, don't breathe. While
a lot
Denzel,
of naked corpses in this movie.
A lot of naked corpses. If you're into that, great movie for you.
Sure. And well, we should talk about the other craziest part. Well, let's continue with the plot. So,
Okay.
I don't
even know how much. Oh, let's talk about Jared Leto, right? He makes an appearance.
Sort of by happenstance. It's not even like really like a mystery. They just like so they start investigating, and then just like pretty immediately they find Jared Leto, and it's like, oh, this was the guy that did it.
Right.
But it's like not really clear if he did it because we also learned that Jared Leto has like a history of going around and confessing to other crimes and like knowing details that you shouldn't know. But he's like hasn't like he's like a crime buff. I think he's just like a freak.
Right.
But there's this scene. The reason that
he describes himself as a crime buff, right? Or
yeah, and it's like he's confessed to a murder before that he didn't commit, but that he knew a lot about. But I mean, to the end.
So right off the bat, that's that character.
Throughout the movie, we don't know whether he actually did it or not. But the reason that Denzel really thinks he does is they do like a good cop bad cop thing with Rami Malek,
right.
Who's atrocious. We'll get into him later. But then Denzel gives Jared Leto an envelope full of pictures of the dead bodies, and the head just has him look at it, and then everyone stops talking. They just have him flip through. They're like, keep going, look at the next one, and then Denzel tricks him into getting like sitting next beside him, and then he just like grabs his dick. And then Jared Leto jumps up, and Denzel flips his fucking lid. He's like punching the wall. He's like, "Your heart is a China top or something." So,
I don't think I picked up on the fact that he grabbed his dick. I do remember the scene. He punching him on the wall next to him and stuff.
Yeah, he grabbed his dick. That was what happened.
Oh,
there.
I must have missed it. Oh, that's so funny.
Because Jared Leto's looking at the pictures, and then Denzel like is on the other side of the room. He's like, "So why is that?" That's what Denzel says, and then Jared's like, "What?" He's like, "Why is that?" And he just keeps taking one step closer, really closer to him, saying, "Why is that? Why is that?" Then he's like, Jared Leto's like off guard, and then all of a sudden Denzel just like touches his dick. He's like, "Your heart is a fucking," I forget what the analogy says, but your heart is a fucking Chinatown.
Oh my god! How did I miss that? That's so funny. That's such okay, yeah. Oh my god, that's Denzel's character. He grabs his dick to see if he's hard.
Denzel's character really has no regard for like the laws.
He doesn't play by the rules.
Police.
He clearly doesn't play by the rules.
He enters several people's homes without.
He plays by his own set of rules.
There's one point where he has to like escape a build. There's no action in this movie, but there's one point where he has to escape, and we see him like from across the street, just like crawling on a rooftop.
It feels like what they were trying to do with Jared Leto's character is like what Kevin Spacey was doing in Seven, where it's this mysterious serial killer who's always one step ahead kind of thing. But they just missed the ball on that with Jared Leto. He just didn't do it.
In Seven, there's a lot of the movie without Kevin Spacey where they're trying to solve the crime and learning more. There is no like mystery in this. There is no like there's no figuring things out. It's like whatever. It's like there's very little like clues. It's not like we're trying to figure it out. It's just like, okay, they pretty immediately find Jared Leto, and it's like, this is the guy. I guess we don't know if it was the guy.
And really, it hardly. I guess it doesn't even matter because
Well,
it's not even the struggle of the.
We also have reason to doubt Denzel's belief that this is the right guy, because we also learned that when part of the reason he was fired was he met this other guy who he thought was the guy and broke his jaw. And turns out it wasn't the guy.
So he's been down this road before. It's funny.
And I wish I hadn't watched the trailer for this movie, because I didn't know Jared Leto was, because that pretty much gives it away there.
I saw the trailer for this movie on it just came up on something I was watching, and I was like, oh, okay, this movie seems like I probably won't watch this. But I do remember Rami Malek and Denzel. I don't remember Jared Leto in the trailer. He probably was, but I just don't remember. So it was jarring to see him. I was like, wait, is that Jared Leto? I couldn't even tell at first.
I don't think I have a problem with what Jared Leto's doing in this movie.
Did he put on weight for this movie?
He had like a gut.
Yeah, he had a big gut.
And he's like a really crazy long hair beard situation.
Was that real, you think, that gut?
Who knows?
Because he's done that, right? He just gains and loses a bunch of weight for roles.
I don't think it completely works what he's doing, but I didn't mind what he was going for. I think the reason that it's just, he's playing like a weird serial killer, he's playing like a weird strange serial killer character.
Right.
And the reason that it doesn't work is because the straight man cop that he's playing against is Rami Malek, who is the most serial killery guy in the planet.
You can't out serial killer.
I think the problem with this movie begins and ends with Rami Malek, who I just have no idea who is responsible for tricking the American public into thinking that Rami Malek is a movie star. It's
honestly,
it's really bizarre.
You know where I first saw Rami Malek? Night at the Museum. He plays the pharaoh.
Okay.
And that worked.
He can pull that off.
And he hardly talks, and that's also why it works.
Have you seen Mr. Robot?
I didn't. I've seen maybe parts of it, but I've never sat there and watched that show. No.
I've only seen the first season. It's a good show.
Oh, you saw the whole first season. It's
good in it.
I believe
it's a good show. The reason that works is because his character is a weird fucking blank expressionless weirdo who doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
And this one, I have no idea how I'm supposed to. Rami Malek is just so jarring. There's something so off-putting about him. He's so jarring to look at. I have no idea how I'm supposed to relate to him or respond to him. I guess his character in this is pretty indefinable, but it's like he's playing like a normal father detective. He's supposed to be like a loving father, family man, but he's also like an asshole. But just some of the things he says are just so weird. He's just a weird dude.
I don't like the way he delivers any of his lines.
It's true. This wasn't the right role for him.
Yeah, that's true. Rami Malek.
Well, he won an Oscar for Bohemian Rhapsody, which is one of my least favorite movies of all time.
Did you think he did a good job doing Freddie Mercury?
No, I hated that movie. I mean, it was fine. Whatever. Sure, he did a fine job playing, but it's just
I feel like that movie.
I don't have any problems with his performance in that movie. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, it was very. The movie felt very. Not what you want from a Queen movie. It was too polished, too a Hollywood in a way. But I will say, I don't have any strong complaints about Rami Malek playing Freddie Mercury. He kind of.
I don't think he deserved an Oscar.
Can pull that off. Yeah, I don't think he deserved an Oscar for it. Especially
that was Bradley Cooper's Oscar.
That was Bradley Cooper's Oscar. Let's be honest.
But. Sure, but I think so much of the problem with this movie comes from the tonality, and sort of, I think a lot of that comes from him, because it's supposed to be, very little happens plot wise. There's very little suspense, but I think they were thinking that just the psychological tension between Rami Malek and Jared Leto and Denzel is there, and all these trouble guys would boil over. But it just doesn't work because Rami Malek is a fucking weirdo, man.
And he stunts whatever kind of thing Denzel's trying to build.
So. Should we get into the meat of the spoilery parts?
Yeah, let's do it. So Denzel. So we find out later.
We find out that it's him, but they can't arrest him even after they touch his penis. They don't have enough on him, so they have to let him go. So we know he's got hard at the dead. So they know he's dangerous, but they have to let him go, and they're watching him. They're still trailing him.
Right.
Denzel takes a vacation from it, because Denzel's not an LAPD detective, so he takes a vacation from his real job to stay and help Rami. And
pro bono.
And then they follow him. The one thing I had this movie goes off the rail. I'm on board like plot wise. I understand what's going on. Then it goes off the rails when they're watching him. Denzel goes to get a coffee or something.
Denzel goes to get coffees at like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it's like they've been watching him together. Denzel goes to get coffee, and then a payphone rings, and Rami Malek like slowly walks to answer it
By himself.
He's armed. He's a police officer. He's armed. There's another police officer like 20 feet away. He's not like in danger.
Right. Well, he's getting coffee, so he is kind of alone.
Sure, but then Jared Leto says, like, sneaks up on him and scares him.
Yeah, he answers the phone. He goes, "Hello," and then he goes, "Boo," and he's like, now he's 10 feet behind him.
Yeah, and Jared Leto is freaky as hell.
Walking towards him. I would no. Yeah, I'd be afraid.
Sure, but it's like, but then Jared Leto just says to him, no. So then Rami like pulls his gun up.
Yeah, get on the ground. And
He's like,
yelling at
interlace your fingers.
Interlace your interlace your fingers.
But so he sees he's unarmed, but then Jared just says to him, "Okay, I'll show you." See, I don't even really didn't even follow like whose body we're looking for at this point, because the other thing is we haven't seen anyone die.
We just see these. We've seen some corpses.
We haven't seen any murders,
right?
Or like even like implied murders. It's all happened before.
Yeah, he asked where.
We do see one girl like on a run. We see like one missing girl who goes missing. We see her like go on a run with like her boyfriend, and then she says, "I'll run home."
You're right. Maybe that's who he's talking about.
Sure. Okay. So then Jared says to Rami, "Get in my car, and I'll take you to the body." And I don't understand why Rami becomes like it's almost as if he's being held hostage in danger. I don't understand why.
But
he has a gun.
He has a gun, and he does, and Jared Leto does not.
Why doesn't Rami say, "No, I'm not gonna get in the car. I'll follow you there in my police car, and I'm also gonna wait for my partner to."
Exactly.
Because Jared basically says to him, "Get in my car now. I'll take you there, and you have to leave now. He's not invited."
Yeah, he also says, he says Denzel's not invited.
So Rami just listens to him.
And Rami's like, okay.
Okay.
He takes out his gun and points it at him and sits in his passenger seat as they drive away.
And then Denzel comes out from the 7-Eleven.
He throws the car. He sees, also, by the way.
We see Rami just in the passenger seat.
We see Jared Leto's car drive by with Rami Malek in the passenger seat.
Like he's like a child.
And Denzel throws the coffee and runs to his car to follow them.
But then, so they go to like an abandoned field. And
Denzel does not catch up, or he's lagging far behind.
Yeah,
he gets stopped at a red light.
He doesn't want to be seen or what.
He gets stopped at a red light too.
I don't know why you don't go through it. You're Denzel Washington.
You're police, yeah.
But Rami and Jared get to this like empty field in the middle of the night, and Jared is just like, "Fuck." Rami, who's an armed police officer of the law, is just like letting this like, what's the word? Letting this confessed murderer just like basically fuck with him. He's just like, "Okay, come here, dig a hole right there. That's where the body is."
Yeah.
So Rami gets out of Rami tries to say like, "No, I'm not gonna dig the hole. You dig the hole," but he doesn't, because he's just a bitch. So then Rami digs with a shovel digs a hole. Jared says, "That's not there. The body's not there. He's over here. I was wrong. It was over here." I think he must.
He makes him dig like 24 holes.
How many holes do you think he digs? 24.
They eventually do like an aerial shot of like all the holes, and it's like it's at least 15. It's like a lot.
But this isn't like in 7 when it's like when we see Brad Pitt reaches breaking point and killed John Doe. It's like, oh yeah, we're on board 100%. This guy's fucking with him. He sees his wife is dead. Like, we understand that why Brad Pitt hit his breaking point.
Yeah.
This is basically just like Jared Leto being like slightly annoying, being a dickhead, and Rami Malek has just no ability to, like, he's just like getting like sunned by this pot-bellied Jared Leto.
And it just kind of, but at the same time it felt like, that makes sense. Like, Rami Malek is just such like the dude that would have a gun, be the authority, but also be like, all right, I'll dig this hole, because Jared Leto is just kind of taller.
But it's not like, but then Jared Leto says some things like he knows where his family lives or something, and he starts like talking about his kid. We learn early on Rami Malek is a devoted family man.
I don't get why Rami Malek, a seasoned, experienced, one of the like famous detective, right? Everybody knows him, that he's a famous detective, is just letting this presumed serial killer just like kind of telling him what to do and having him go on this goose chase.
Certainly. But then so he starts like busting his balls about his family, saying like, how could you put your family in danger or whatever. And then Rami Malek, pretty much out of nowhere, just turns around, takes a shovel,
Smacks him across the
kills-
face with a shovel.
cracks Jared Leto's skull with a shovel. He's dead.
Dead, by the way.
This wasn't like a cathartic release moment or anything. It wasn't like, holy shit. It's like, oh.
It also didn't feel like it boiled to a point. Like,
Yeah, there was no
to compare it to
build-up.
7 again, there's a big build up, and Kevin Spacey reveals, like, oh my god, it's a head. That's when you hit him with the shovel.
Yeah, then when Brad Pitt shoots him, it's like, oh my
Exactly.
god. It's like you feel, it's like you, oh.
It's like, fuck. But this, it was like, he just kind of
fuck? I'm like, is
talked.
this just what it's going to be? Like, that was it?
He just kind of harassed him with, like, I don't even remember what he's saying, but just like,
It's really not even that.
nothing that triggering, right? Yeah.
But
Besides, it was just annoying.
so it falls flat,
That
and
he's
then
been
Rami
digging
just
holes
sits in
all
the
night.
dirt. And a few hours later, Denzel comes,
Denzel finds him, finally.
and Denzel's like, "Okay, I'll take care of it." I don't like. I didn't buy it all. Also, like, they're supposed to be like really bonded. Rami and Denzel. Like, there's a scene where Denzel goes and eats dinner with his or breakfast, like with his family, and like his little daughter's like kissing him on the cheek.
I
after
did.
2
That's
minutes.
so
What the
funny you
hell's
bring
going
that
on?
up. Yeah, that his daughter comes and he's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, yeah, this is my daughter. And it's like, oh, they leave for school, and then the daughter kisses Denzel straight.
Just met this man.
Just met this man, just like a work colleague of her father.
Yeah, and the parents don't like, sweetie, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, don't kiss this stranger. It's like, no, good. Yeah, no, kiss.
And
kiss
as we
this
said before, Denzel in this movie is like not like a
mentally ill.
He's not like the handsome Denzel we might be used to. He's like an old fucking bloodshot-eyed fucking crazy
Just
person.
in a windbreaker.
But okay, and Rami's also so weird as interacting with his wife. Those scenes
I did not buy that at all.
There's one scene where he's putting his daughter to bed. He's like, "Did you pray?"
Yes, he did.
It's like, it's just,
You guys pray? Yes, Dad.
It's
What?
such a weird character.
I did register that. I was like, did you pray? Interesting. You haven't seen that in that's not part of movies in a while.
And then, like, this guy's not saying that. Also,
Yeah. Also, yeah. This homicide detective.
if it was like a character that would make sense that there's a religious, okay. But so they bury Jared Leto in one of the many holes that has been dug.
Yeah. At least no. He digs. He keeps digging a deeper
This is like
hole.
in the desert. Also, like they don't have like water or anything. And Denzel's just like, to Rami, stay here. I'm gonna go take. He like goes. Must be gone at least like 24 hours. He's like goes and empty out Jared Leto's house, burns a bunch of shit, drives back. Rami's still just sitting in the desert. What's he doing there?
What was weird about like the detective killing the serial killer in the desert kind of thing is that it was so obvious, like the same scene that's in 7. It's just so much worse.
But there's just no like
Reason for it.
this story to work. It would have had to been so much just about like the mood and like the atmosphere. But it's just
And
the problem with this movie also is it's fucking goofy as hell, like all the
Yeah.
way through. I think to work it would either have to be like campy in like a goofy like fun way,
Just be
or like
fun,
actually
yeah.
be good, like 7 or something.
Yeah.
There's like multiple scenes in this movie, like 2+ minute montages of just like people driving and like flashing forward to like different signs in LA and just like the goofiest fucking music dun, 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 as Denzel's just like driving to Santa Monica or whatever. Like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, I think what they were intending was for it to be serious, like just actually like a well done
They
murder
wanted it to be serious.
mystery
There's one point
serial killer movie.
early on. This is like the first 10 minutes of the movie. One police detective says to another police detective, he says, "We got dead girls here, Jimmy. We haven't been under this much scrutiny since the Night Stalker." It's like, what the hell is going on? Since the Night Stalker? That's not just a... we haven't had as many eyes on us since the Night Stalker.
This movie built a world without us without us being part of it.
Yeah, and then, so we learn that Denzel... Okay, hold on a second.
So anyway, yeah, so Denzel...
Okay, so this section is called Burning Questions. So questions that we still have about this movie that we don't feel were resolved.
Well, that's the plot of what happens with Malik, but also to color in Denzel's whole story was that...
Yeah, and this is a question I have, because I still don't
okay.
understand.
All right.
Say what happens at the end of Denzel.
Okay, here's what I think happened to Denzel. So, Denzel helps Rami Malek's character... What's his name in the movie, by the way? Detective something?
Rami Malek's character's name is Jim.
Jim.
It's Jim and Joe Deacon.
So he helps Jim and Joe Deacon. So Joe Deacon, Mr. Deacon, helps Jim cover up this murder because we sort of discover that he's done this before. He's helped or he's murdered someone and
See,
had to cover it up.
yes.
And the
See, I don't know. That was what I was confused about that whole thing because I thought we were to also think that did he cover it up? Because I thought part of the reason he might have gotten switched off was because it wasn't covered up.
I think what happened.
Why was he fired?
I
What we see. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what we see is when Denzel was hunting this serial killer in the past, he accidentally shoots a girl.
Right, he shoots her in the chest, unarmed, in the dark.
They're hunting a serial killer who they think has this girl in the woods. They're in the dark in the woods, and then the girl must escape and runs up on him, and he just shoots her dead.
Shoots her straight in the chest, and then we see at the coroner or whatever. What is that called?
Autopsy.
The autopsist scientist.
Not autopsist.
Yeah.
Coroner was right.
I think the coroner takes the body and packages it
Mortician.
Yeah, I think it's a crime. It's an actual. I think it's a part of the police department or something, or lab. Either way,
person at the morgue. She
exactly.
works at the morgue.
The person that's like analyzing her wounds or whatever. She's the one who was in there earlier who caught him talking to the dead body. And it was implied that they have some kind of past. We see what that past is, which is that she like looks at the wounds and she says, "I'm gonna write. It's okay. This is caused by death, multiple stab wounds," which is false because Denzel shot her and that was the cause of death. So she's lying for him.
Was it that this girl was stabbed and slowly bleeding out, and then he shot her?
It's possible.
Was this girl being in danger from the serial killer? Or was she just like a random hooker who happened to be in the woods that night?
I don't think we'll ever know the answer to that.
That's a problem, I think.
Yeah, it would be nice to know, but I think the takeaway was that that woman helped fudge the paperwork and kind of got.
So what exactly was Denzel fired for?
Who knows? Because there was also the other dude in there who was like witnessing this.
We don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, but he was the chief.
Was the serial killer Denzel was investigating back then the same serial killer in this movie? I would assume we were supposed to believe it was the same killer.
Oh, really?
Were we not?
I assumed it had been like decades since, but maybe
They say 4 years.
Oh, it's only 4 years. Maybe it is the same serial killer. I didn't assume that, but that's possible.
Was Jared Leto this is my next question. Was Jared Leto the serial killer?
I think that's also one of those questions that they want you to be like, who knows? You decide.
Let's go through what these detectives actually accomplished. So we learned that before Denzel was fired, there's a sex offender who he questioned, and who we don't believe was the killer. The sex offender was not the killer.
Right.
But Denzel has questioned him in the past, broke his jaw during the questioning, and this guy is so afraid of Denzel that goes on and lives his life. 4 years pass, they have to question this guy again, and that this guy learns that Denzel's here, and there's a scene where he realizes that Denzel must be behind the glass, and he becomes so afraid because he's so afraid of traumatized by Denzel who broke his jaw in the past. And then okay, they release this guy. He's not the guy. He goes home and kills himself because Denzel's traumatized himself. So a sex offender, sure, but not the murderer, is dead because of Denzel. Okay. Denzel shoots a woman. Okay. Just straight up shoots a woman.
Just straight up shoots. Just scared. Just jumped in the dark, shot it.
And then the movie ends with so Rami Malek kills Jared Leto, and Denzel. One of the clues we do know throughout it is that the girl who's murdered wears a red beret. So they say if we can find a red beret in his apartment, we know that he must be the killer. And then we see that Denzel gives Rami Malek like an envelope at his house with a red beret, and it says "No Angels." So basically saying he was our guy. You killed the right guy. But then as Denzel's burning all of Jared Leto's shit, we see that he bought
a pack of the.
So now 3 people are dead at the hands of the police, and we don't know if we have the killer or not. So what was achieved in this?
I think what the real story was that the murderer was Denzel the whole time.
Well, it's the little things. that get you.
Oh yeah. By the way, the last scene is him burning all the evidence of like all these murders. And by the way, this woman who's
They must have killed just as many people as a serial killer at this point.
the autopsy woman gives him like a little metal. It kind of looks like a flower. Like
It's a bullet.
it's the bullet. It is. When I first saw it, I was like, "What is that? A flower?" I didn't even register. And then later, you see he gives it. That's the bullet that shot her in the chest. And then he burns that too, I think, right? Or throws it, or I don't even remember. But he gets rid of all the little things.
Nothing is resolved except that these cops have killed like 3 people, and the killer the serial killer himself might still be out there because we don't know if Jared Leto was a serial killer.
Now, this might have only happened once, but for some reason, it feels like they said it 5 times. The name of the movie within the movie.
Yeah. There's like a scene where Jared Leto says they're investigating. Denzel. They're talking about like how do we prove it's Jared Leto? He's like, and he asks like what was in the girl's stomach, and Ryan Malek's like roast beef. He's like roast beef. Does that matter? He's like, yeah. It's the little things, Jim. It's the little things that get you caught. It's the little things that.
Little things.
But then later on, when they're covering up the murders that they have committed, they're like, "Am I okay? Is anyone gonna know?" He's like, "No one's gonna know, Jim, because it's the little things. It's the little things that you do. It's the little things that get you." It's like, what was the point of this story? What was resolved?
I think it's that Denzel's a good murderer. Joe Deacon is like
These guys are monsters.
covers up murders a lot.
I know the way we're describing it, like the cop that like these guys are murdering all these people and stuff might sound very exciting. I assure anyone who might ever listen to this that it's just not. It's not.
So is Jared Leto the hero of the movie?
No one is like. I think so much of this movie would have been fixed if they cast just a fucking normal actor to
Instead
play
of
Rami Malek.
Yeah, if they picked like, who would have been great in that role?
Because Jared Leto, like I said before, is not a bad performance, but it's just he's doing like a weirdo, and it just can't work when he's going against the even weirder guy.
Yeah, he can't be
You
the
can't
hero.
have 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And Denzel's also being a weirdo. There's no like anchor.
Imagine if it was like The Dark Knight, except that Rami Malek played Batman, and it was like, no, you're out creepying the Joker.
Yeah, you're ruining the movie. But who could have played Rami Malek's role?
What if it was like Christian Bale?
It's too old, maybe.
Maybe too old now.
You know who I was thinking? You know Jesse Plemons?
From what?
He's in Friday Night Lights, but he's also in like Breaking Bad. He plays Todd.
Oh.
He's been in a bunch of shit.
I would give him a shot on a movie
he's
like
just
this.
a normal, like he can talk like a normal person.
Yeah,
but like also can get dark when he needs to. Like I can see him simmering over.
In Breaking Bad, he's good as like Todd. Yeah, he feels like he can be scary.
Because the thing is, when Rami Malek finally breaks and swings the shovel at Jared's head, I realized like, when I was watching, we were supposed to take away that like we're watching this guy slowly simmer over this whole time. Like he's supposed to be like building tension. I wasn't getting any of that because Rami Malek was such a weirdo the whole time, the whole way through.
I kind of got like he just came out of the dentist or something, and it's just like a little confused. That's sort of his whole personality.
Want to get into our first top 3, which is actually a good segue?
Yes.
So each film we're gonna come up with 2 top 3s loosely related to the film.
My top 3 is going to be the top 3 most unsettling characteristics of Rami Malek.
Okay, let's each go down from 3 to 1.
Okay. I don't know if I really ordered these.
Whatever.
But his posture. The way he holds himself, hands in his pockets.
I know exactly what you mean. And it's not like he has bad posture, like he's slumped or anything.
No.
He's got great...
It's almost perfect.
Yeah, there's the way he stands is like no human being... I don't know, it's just something so false about him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just every movement he does, there's something so horrible.
He's just not standing in a place ever.
Yeah. He just got like a weird presence every time he's on screen.
Very, just makes any scene uncomfortable. I'm especially thinking of any scenes with him and his wife, him and his family feel unnatural.
There's never any moment that feels natural. There's never even a second of authenticity. It's like, oh yeah, this guy exists. This is a human that exists. I believe that this is a person.
Do I believe that Rami Malek has ever dug a hole?
Is this the first time this guy's ever held a shovel? What's going on?
Held a gun. I also kind of feel like he couldn't really hold a gun.
It's just a weird physicality about him.
Yeah, 100%.
So his posture. My number 3 is his face. There's so much in this movie. He needs to do a lot in this movie when you think about it. he starts out he's like a
I mean, he's a lead role, right?
yeah.
Who's trying to go on this emotional journey.
Is this guy? He might not be anymore, but I believe this is our reigning Best Actor winner. Or is that not true anymore? But within the past 2 years, this guy's won Best Actor Oscar.
Oh, he won for Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yeah, so you would think like in this movie, so we have to buy that he's like a loving family man, but also like a brash detective, but also like he takes his work too seriously. And he really wants to like pretty like I certainly couldn't do it, but like pretty like standard like movie acting. Like yeah,
Right.
you'd think the Best Actor could do it,
If you have this funding, yeah.
but nothing. He achieves none of that, and it all comes down to mainly his fucking face is just so weird that it's hard to read emotion into. He just has a weird face.
You know what would be interesting now I'm thinking about it? If you switch the roles of Denzel and Rami Malek. Because I would believe that Rami Malek is sort of a disgraced detective who went AWOL.
The ages don't make sense in that.
The ages don't make sense.
You know who could have replaced Rami Malek? Just like anyone who has any sort of charisma, any sort of magnetism. It's just completely lacking. Rami Malek is so off-putting, and it's a damn shame. Is what it is.
All right, I'll do my next top one.
Number 2. What's your number 2?
All right, my number 2. The fit of his suit. He was wearing this tight little suit the whole time. This tight little black suit.
Yeah.
That I guess like was technically perfectly fit for him, but looked bad or just like was unsettling on his frame.
He doesn't like seem like a detective that exists in the world, like a real person at all.
No.
It's like everything about it is false. His suit is false.
Yeah, exactly. That's 100% right.
Okay, my number 2 is his laugh, and more specifically, anytime he has to convey any sort of like animated emotion.
His smile.
Yeah, there's just something so odd when he has to. There's like scenes where he laughs. So we talked about the breakfast scene with Denzel and his kids. Then afterwards, his kids go to school, and Denzel's like to him, "You got a beautiful family." And Rami's just like, "Yeah."
He does say that. I
So-
didn't remember that. Yeah.
It's just like anytime he has to convey anything other than like a weird blank face weirdo, he just can't do it. He just honestly can't do it.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Anytime he tries to be like a human being,
Anything other than Mr. Robot.
it comes across as disingenuous.
Immediately after he swings the shovel at Jared's head and Jared's dead, he looks at him. He's like, "Hey, buddy, get up."
Yes, he does say that.
It's just
Hey, buddy,
so.
get up.
I think this movie could have been so much better if Rami Malek was.
Yeah, I hate to just hate on Rami Malek the whole time, but it's like so prominently that was like such an issue with this movie that kept you from buying into any of the characters, any of the story. And he's the lead, he's the main character, right?
I'm just done with Rami Malek.
It's his story, and I couldn't get into it, and you lose most of the story.
What's your number 1?
Number 1 might be an obvious one, but I think it's the worst quality of Rami Malek that I or most unsettling for me is his chameleon eyes. Anytime he's looking around, his eyes are just.
He looks like he's so fucking nervous all the time.
Like, it feels like he also doesn't look. Like, does he have a lazy eye, or is that just me? Is that just
some
that
sort
quality?
of issue? I don't know if he's a little cross-eyed or.
He just doesn't look at things, right?
Yeah, his eyes look completely vacant and empty.
They're vacant. They're bulging.
Just
It's
a
like
vacant stare.
like a lizard. Like if you were to look at a lizard man, that's the look you'd get from a lizard.
Exactly, and that we said we don't like seeing his eyes, but also my number 1 is the way he looks in sunglasses. And I'm talking about one scene in particular. This is like the scene we're introduced to him. Denzel has to go into some police thing for like 5 minutes to get like a bag of evidence or something, and he comes out, and there's Rami standing there. His car is being towed. Denzel's car is being towed, and Rami's standing there in sunglasses in a fucking ridiculous suit. And Denzel's like, why are you towing my car?
It's like silk, maybe.
He's like, why are you towing my car? I was in there. Why don't you just tell me to move it? And Rami takes his sunglasses off, or he has sunglasses on, and he stares at him. He's like, because I didn't have time.
Just like, you already hate this guy.
Yeah, and that one, like, even if
Unhook it.
I'm already out of it. Even if he gave a great performance the rest of the movie, I was out.
At that point, I'm out. The sunglasses.
Then like he's
That's so
giving a
funny.
press conference and stuff. It's just like what the fuck's going on? This is what we're doing.
That's pretty good. All right, what are your top three?
All right, my top three. I don't want to be just dumping on Rami Malek because I think he is an okay actor, and certain things he excels at.
Right.
So, what are the top three things we would like to see Rami Malek play?
Okay.
So keep making it more positive. And I'll start. My number three is Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner, a
'Cause,
biopic.
Yeah, called like Kushner or something. Because Jared Kushner, obviously scumbag. I'm not saying Rami Malek is anything to do with him. You know, like Rami Malek Rami's probably a great guy if you meet him. But I think he'd be good at conveying like the vacant stare, the sort of just like strange off-puttingness of that I think we all feel when we see Jared Kushner.
Yeah, I think he can do that. He's kind of got like the somewhere in the political realm sort of vibe about him.
Yeah, he seems like there's like a false like a facade about him that is like sort of feels right at ease in like a political world.
I agree. I think I would like to see that.
I would like to see him play. He would be good in a movie where he's like not the candidate, but he's like the guy who runs the shit for and he's like he's
campaign
like
manager or something.
Yeah, he'd be good.
I think you're right.
And it's like, there is something off putting. You don't trust this guy. There's something off putting.
You think he could win an Oscar for Kushner? That's the title. That's the movie.
I think he could win an Oscar for Kushner. I think he's
Kushner. 2025.
From Mercury to Kushner.
That's funny. All right, I'll give you mine. Okay. Would I want to see Rami Malek play? I'd like to see him play a pro bowler.
Professional bowler.
A professional bowler. I think he's got. I can imagine him. For some reason, I see him looking down the lane.
He can really
holding the ball.
He would be great at fucking just staring at pins.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a look that he could get obsessed with bowling.
Such an intensity.
Yeah, and just play a professional bowler. Because also I would just kind of like to see a movie about like a really well done movie about professional bowling. And I think he's the man for the job.
I like that. My number two is a Bond villain with a horribly burned face.
Anything to cover that up.
But the reason I say that, he's in the next Bond movie. I've seen the trailers,
is he?
Which is...
He plays the villain, though?
Yeah, we should watch that when it comes out. It's going to be streamed, I don't know where. But...
He's got to play the villain.
It's called No Time to Die. I've seen the trailer.
Is that
Rami
with...
Malek's in it for a couple... Daniel Craig? Yeah. Rami Malek's in it for a couple seconds, and he's got a horribly burned face in this movie. And I'm... Which sound, but
and that excites me.
And that works because it like, he would be good at being like
how burnt? Like, his eyes are still there, right? Like, is it just like half his face is scarred?
It's like all like stone, like in Game of Thrones when they get like the stone disease when they turn to stone.
Right.
It's like he's
scaly.
He's got like a scaly face. But I mean, I think he'll be great at that. And
but it's like you could see the trauma there in his eyes.
Yeah, I don't mean this in like an insulting way. I think he'd probably kill that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he would be a great Bond villain if he's set to have you have that role. I'm excited for it.
Anything's got to be better than this. Little things.
Do you like Daniel Craig as James Bond? I think he's my favorite James Bond, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't seen any non-Daniel Craig Bond movies. But, like, I don't think I've seen Casino Royale. Quantum of Solace is... Skyfall, I think, is amazing. I love that movie.
Skyfall was good.
Haven't seen Spectre.
Oh, I saw Spectre. So. Yeah. They're all pretty good. He's a good Bond. I think he's maybe the best. I mean, I guess I haven't seen the real old ones. But I can't imagine. I think they're way more campy.
What's your number two?
All right, my number two. I would like to see him be in Now You See Me 3.
Is he not already in those?
I don't think he's in any of the Now You See Me movies, but he feels like he'd be a perfect fit. Working, the villain against Jesse Eisenberg. I think it would be a perfect match. It would be a perfect matchup for that.
Just like a really intense magician.
A really intense magician, yeah, who's kind of mysterious, scary.
He's like also like
he's scheming,
involved in organized crime.
Yeah, he's robs a bank by the end, but he uses magic to get there, and he's got great sleight of hand.
I think that would be a great move for Rami.
Honestly,
it's a big blockbuster movie. People like those movies. He makes some money.
And I think we're due for a Now You See Me 3.
Whoever, like, I get that he won an Oscar and now he thinks like, oh, now I'm gonna do my drama with Denzel. No one wants that from you, Rodney.
I want to see you with Dave Franco and who else is in those movies?
Isla Fisher.
Yeah.
Do what you're good at.
Yeah, I think he would fit perfectly in that universe.
I've only seen the first Now You See Me.
Oh, I saw both of them in theaters. Funny enough.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah, they are what they are. Yes.
Okay, my number one is he should play the Sandman.
From Spider-Man?
No, the Sandman from like the Neil Gaiman graphic novels.
I don't know if I'm familiar with the character.
These are some of the most celebrated graphic novels out there, and I haven't read all of them, but these are like an acid trip. These are
okay.
It's so gross and scary, and basically it's about an eternal being. Orpheus, the god of dreams, gets kidnapped into the world of the living by some sorcerers, and then he breaks free and goes back to the dreamland, and it's just like everything has gone crazy in his absence. But whatever. and you have to restore.
So for those
order.
of you who are unfamiliar,
but it's just like this guy Neil Gaiman. I think he had like a drug problem at the time.
Yeah.
He has like also I think he has like a self-harm issue, which is horrible. I'm not trying to make light of that, but it's just like every single page is just like the most fucked up crazy shit. It's just like an acid trip on.
Interesting.
And I
and
know
if they made a movie, are they planning to make a movie?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt was supposed to play this guy for a long time, but then he backed out. Was supposed to play the Sandman.
Wow.
Now they're doing a series. I don't know if they cast him yet, but I think Rami Malek could do that. Just be like an eternal god of dream with like a white face.
All right. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the story, but it sounds like you can.
We're listing projects, and like some of these are jokes, but like we are listing projects that would be like big movies for Rami Malek.
Like honestly, Rami Malek, feel free if you're listening.
We're not trying to say he shouldn't have a career, that he's a bad actor.
Listen, I think you got a really unique thing going on, but you gotta lean into the fact that you're a unique fella, and you can only do certain roles.
You can't be just like.
You can't be the detective.
You can't be Jim.
Lead. Yeah, you can't be Jim. You can't.
You can't play Detective Jim.
working against Joe Deacon over here.
We already have Joe Deacon. You can't be Jim.
Yeah. I mean, you have Denzel Washington, Jared Leto, and Rami Malek is supposed to carry the movie. I mean, it was doomed from the start. My third one.
Your number one.
Okay, so this was not in order.
Whatever, we'll just say that.
But I'd like to see him be the new Steve on Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him be one of the new Blue's Clues hosts.
See, this is insulting. We just, after we finished saying how we were like trying to give him serious advice, you say he should be Steve on Blue's Clues.
I mean, hear me out. This is one that's not like the others.
I feel like the one thing Steve has to do is just have non-threatening eyes. That's the one thing that is like, oh yeah.
They've been doing Blue's Clues the same way for 2 decades now. I think Rami Malek has a certain. Listen, kids has a more sophisticated palette these days for performances and characters, and I think Rami Malek could bring something to the role that we haven't seen before. That I think could work great against an animated, blues dog character, Blue.
And Magenta.
She, yeah, and Blue. I think I could imagine him leaving those pauses, like for the people that for the kids.
You're sort of saying you want Blue's Clues to become more like SpongeBob, and that like SpongeBob.
Where's Blue?
SpongeBob is a program watched by children, but also like people who love drugs, people like marijuana addicts and stuff
love Blue's Clues.
No, love SpongeBob.
Oh, love
there's
SpongeBob.
Like surrealism, and there's like sometimes it's like actually creepy and stuff.
Right.
You want Blue's Clues right now. No one's getting high and watching Blue's Clues.
But if Rami Malek,
if instead of just like a straightforward like guy talking to the camera, it's like a little bit like creepy and off-putting, and it's like where is Blue? Like you start to actually like get scared.
Wait.
Where exactly is Blue? What are the clues?
Where is that a threat or?
That could be like a phenomenon. And then we can like kids can still watch it.
What do you mean? Where's Blue?
There's not gonna be like swear words. Like kids can still watch it.
What'd you do to him?
What'd
you do to him, Rami?
And he's just like talking at different angles. Like the camera just gets him at different angles. He's like, Can you count how many sheep are in this picture?
All of a sudden, it's handheld. Oh my god. Yes. Okay. So honestly,
what letter is this, kids?
honestly, yes, I do want to see that. I would love to see that.
Even just a season, just one.
Just one seat, just an episode, just as a guest appearance on Blue's Clues. I think he'd do a great job. But speaking also in terms of actually doing the role justice, if he sat down and was like, "Let me try to do Steve. Let me try to be Blue's Clues," I feel like he can do that. I think he can leave those weird pauses and have it not feel weird. I think he can, if he really tried to be friendly, good with kids. It would be bizarre, and him failing at doing this well is what would give it its quality, its uniqueness, its texture. But
you know what I think Rami Malek's problem is?
What?
I don't know what he's like. Just like I can't even begin to picture what he would be like if he was just like sitting here.
You ever see him in like an interview?
Not really, but I feel like even when I do see him, he's like he feels a little guarded. Like he's not like I don't know. There's something that he's like holding up a wall. If I could like get him to really open up and see like what he's like talking.
I would love to see him.
Just get a feel for like, just like what this guy. Yeah, Rami, if you ever listen and you want to.
If you're listening, come on the pod.
I know we said you should host Blue's Clues.
We'll break down your walls.
Because I feel like some people have like I myself have a bit of a strange delivery when I'm speaking in like a weird way about me. Sometimes you have to like know what a person's like.
You know, he's made it work. You know,
I don't know if he has. He's a successful actor.
Oscar-winning actor somehow.
All right, so back to the movie as a whole. Ian, I want you to guess for me what you think this movie, without going over. I want you to tell me what you think this movie's rating is on Rotten Tomatoes.
As of right now. Sometimes I feel like when movies just come out, they have a higher score than they deserve.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like a groupthink thing.
Right. Especially if it's like
Denzel and Rami together for the first time.
Yeah, especially if it's a studio that has the money to influence those numbers. I would guess this is probably striking somewhere around 72.
47%.
47. I'm glad. That makes sense.
Like
People don't like it. Okay. That does not surprise me. Okay, my final thoughts on this movie. I'd say, honestly, don't waste your time. There's other movies to watch. You don't need to watch it.
There's literally probably like 30 better versions of this exact movie.
Right. My recommendation is go watch Seven. Yeah. I was the same movie but done really well.
Yeah.
And what I did like about this movie, I kind of, for some reason, I was digging that one shot of him laying in bed looking at the prostitutes on his wall with a flashlight and just like lit all in green. For some reason, I was like, maybe I'm just I'm not. I don't pay attention to this stuff a lot, but for some reason, I feel like I've never seen nighttime be just green lights.
Weird color choices. There's like times when the light is just like purple light,
right?
Like when they're driving and stuff. And there's times when they go into Jared Leto's house and it's just like everything is red.
Because what's funny is we said earlier, it's like kind of bland. There was no real choices made, but there were some really interesting choices made with the lighting. But it
just felt bland in this.
But that's kind of
very. I don't know.
In a way, that's kind of why I dug it, because it was like, oh, there's nothing. I wouldn't even notice if I wasn't paying attention, maybe. But like,
I think if the mood were carried better, specifically performance or just mood overall, I think some of these choices would have popped more. But
they could have probably used it better. Yeah. Because also, yeah, what emotion are they really trying to elicit in those scenes? That was the issue, is that there was no... I think the writing was probably just poor.
One thing... I'm having trouble coming up with like what to say is good, but I liked some of this... It didn't work for me. It was like weird, and it didn't gel as part of the whole movie, but I liked some of it. I was entertained every time Jared Leto was on screen. He was just like doing some weird shit.
Yeah, honestly... I wouldn't say I'm a huge Jared Leto fan. I've seen him in I didn't see Suicide Squad, so I don't know. But he was in...
What was that? Fires Club. Great.
He was in Requiem for a Dream. He was in a few things. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Jared Leto fan.
He's like better... He's just the better Rami Malek, I think.
Yes, I felt he did a good job in this movie.
Yeah.
I think he
He's doing
whatever
some
that
things,
it's
not
a
all of
weird
them work.
character, but whatever that character was, he did it. I think as good as you could do it.
There's like Denzel goes to look at his car and like sees him with the flashlight and he's like questions him and he's like how's the trunk space or something. And then Jared's like you must really want my car, but then what and he walks away, but then later on Denzel's following him and Denzel gets spotted. They're like on different sides of the highway. So then Jared Leto like speeds around, gets off the exit, comes back, drives right up to Jared Leto. I mean to Denzel. He says like, "How's the trunk space?" And he points at him. It's like, oh shit, this guy's creepy as hell.
He was creepy.
So he was good.
He was good.
But he's just not placed in an interesting story. There's no like mystery to it. There's no like, and then he just dies like so suddenly, and it's not even.
Yeah, what you wanted from him is that he was one step ahead of them the whole time, right? You kind of don't.
I suppose he kind of is. Like, there's a point where they're sneaking in his house, and he calls and says like he calls the police and says an officer down. So then Denzel, I don't really know why he has to crawl on the roof. That was so weird.
I guess what was super unsatisfying was that Rami Malek just hit him with a shovel, and that was it. That was the end. That's how they wrapped that up.
Yeah.
Bullshit. And then also Denzel comes in and is like, yeah, he doesn't even ask like, oh, what happened? He's like, yeah, you killed them. Of course, yeah. You hit him with a shovel.
He's like, I'll be back in a few hours. You stay here.
Yeah. All right. Let's just get to work on.
Put him in one of these holes.
Dig a hole at least 4 feet deep. That's what he says. Pick one of these holes at least 4 feet deep. Put him in it. I'm gonna get rid of this car.
These detectives kill several people.
Yeah.
Like, by mistake, basically.
It's bizarre.
I think we both agree you can pass on this movie. I don't know. I'm trying to think who I would recommend this to. If you're like a just diehard Denzel fan and you just need to see it.
I mean, Rotten Tomatoes giving it a 42 makes
47.
sense. 47, that makes sense.
I think there are better
Even
things.
less.
Don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time.
Okay, so Ian, what are we watching next week?
Oh yeah, next week. So we're gonna tell you now so that you have a week so you can watch the next one.
Episode. We don't know when it'll be released, but just by the next episode.
Right, exactly. A Brokeback Mountain on Amazon Prime.
Really?
We're gonna watch Brokeback Mountain for next week.
You know,
I have never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
So I'm
something I should see.
Exactly.
To be quite frank with you, my reaction when I heard you say it was like disappointed. Like,
You don't want to watch it.
I'm sure it'll be really good.
I kind of felt like I have never seen it. It's critically acclaimed. It feels like something I'd want to see, like one day, like have seen. Not something I necessarily want to see, but something that I want to have seen. And so this just felt like an opportunity to see it. And it's on Amazon Prime, so I was like, okay, let's shake it up with Amazon Prime. And I think we'll have thoughts about this movie, I think.
Okay, so next week we're going to be talking about Brokeback Mountain, the gay cowboy movie.
Oh, yeah. If you're interested in a gay love story between
Heath Slater, the late Heath Slater.
Heath Ledger and
Is it Christian Bale? No.
What's the other guy in it? It's
Tobey Maguire? No.
I was gonna say Tobey Maguire.
Sure,
it's the
it's
guy
Jake
that
Gyllenhaal,
looks.
no?
It's Jake Gyllenhaal. It's the guy that kind of is like Tobey Maguire. Yeah, it's Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger.
This is on Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime.
Okay, let's do it. You have any final thoughts before we leave?
No, I mean, just keep on streaming.
Stream on, man.
Stream on. Until next time, sweet streams.
Sweet streams, everyone.
Sweet streams.